Okay, what's up, you guys? Today, right now, I've just had the beginning of a really good, juicy thought, and I didn't want to unravel some stuff and work it out in my mind and then repeat it. So I just figured, why not record and we can do the unraveling together? Won't that be so fun? Okay, so this is what I got so far. For people who associate a proximity to wealth with a proximity to whiteness, we have some unwinding to do. And this is really, really good. Why? Because what I have just realized is that me personally, I don't allow myself to have everything that I could have because I feel guilty. If I allow myself to have better than other people have, then all of a sudden I'm a bad person. Now, this is something that I have experienced throughout my life with various people and various races, right? I have attracted a lot of jealousy. We're going to go on a little tangent here, and that's fine. This is because, my mother is subconsciously threatened by me, which is something that I think is very common between mothers and daughters. For some of you, you might want to hear that and begin doing some work on that. It's one of those things where it just is natural consequences of all the traumas and different things like that, right? So, because I grew up with this huge feeling of shame and guilt and being mistreated and all of these things and I really do have to pause to really put an emphasis on subconscious, because it's not like my mom or most moms, even your mom that's evil. It's not like most moms are really sitting thinking, how can I really ruin my child's life and be absolutely terrible? It's subconscious. So what might be obvious to us would not be so obvious to them. Anyway, because of this dynamic of subconscious jealousy, what experience did I have growing up? I have attracted very jealous people to me. I attract jealous, up until this point, I have attracted jealous friends. I have attracted jealous lovers. I have attracted jealous authority figures, we would say, just overall. And in general, I had so many problems with teachers in school. And I can just look back on so many situations and go, oh my God, you are jealous of me and you're threatened by me. You're not threatened by me because I am an intimidating Black girl and you're a racist. You're threatened by me because I am incredibly brilliant and you don't feel good enough. That was a realization in and of itself, right? So, lots and lots of jealousy. I internalized the jealousy that I experienced to mean something about me. And what do we do when we feel afraid and feel unsafe? We pull away from a certain experience. Let me reword that in another way. If every single time I allow myself to receive what I want, somebody is getting mad at me, somebody is getting upset with me, and those people that are getting mad and upset with me are the people that I need love and connection from, then you know what? I'm going to limit the amount of success that I allow myself to have. Oh, good God. Oh my goodness. I literally just asked my inner being for this answer like a couple of days ago because I've been doing some parts work. I've been listening to The Anatomy of Loneliness by Teal Swan on Audible. And I've been doing some parts work and I've been like, wait a second, this aspect of me that doesn't allow myself to receive money, why would that serve me? Why would not allowing myself to receive money serve me? Why would struggling serve me so well? And it's because, hello, subconscious truth, I am terrified of success and allowing myself to receive wealth and allowing myself to have an easy life because everybody's going to be mad at me. And this is something that I have been working through for some time now, right? It was originally attracting actual people who are jealous of you and all of that other catty bullshit. And then it became more of a mental thing where it was just kind of like an energetic thing because I really wasn't talking to people, but you kind of feel people's jealousy and then you kind of still get triggered. And so you kind of go through and move through those motions, you know what I mean? Even though it's like, there's nobody there, but it's like, I can feel it, you know what I mean? But it's because it's not about any external person. It's about what's going on internally. So the point is that after I moved through that period of being like, okay, it's nobody outside of me, I can finally get to a point where it's like, okay, this is something that's going on internally. Why am I so afraid of somebody else being mad about something that I have, right? Because a couple of conclusions and understandings that I've come to up to this point are that, number one, I can't control what somebody else allows themselves to have. I can't control what somebody else allows themselves to have because one thing that each and every one of us has is autonomy and free will. We do. Even for those of us who do things like spell work and different things like that, this is kind of going to be a hot take, shall we say. But the only thing that you can do in terms of spell work is kind of plop thoughts and suggestion in somebody's mind. So a lot of the times when people are doing spell work on one another, let's say you're doing like a curse on somebody, let's say you really want somebody to have a bad time. If I put a bad feeling thought in somebody else's mind and that person already has a negative momentum going, then that bad feeling thought could send them on a downward spiral. Boom, your life is all fucked up. But if that person is somebody who is having a good feeling life, if that person is somebody who whatever, then it's kind of going to be like, that was a weird thought. And anyway, it literally has happened to me. It's very interesting. And now we're talking about, because, our thoughts can be a spell. We don't even have to all the time be, lighting candles and doing all of that stuff. Sometimes just talking about people can be a spell. Sometimes just thinking about people negatively can be a spell. So I have experienced things where years ago, maybe I would have thought a thought and I'm like, that's weird. Like, that's a really weird thought. And even more recently, I just randomly, like one day I was sitting on the toilet and then a random thought came in my mind and was like, you should kill yourself. And I was like, excuse me? I was like, that's interesting. It's interesting that you would say that because I haven't had a thought like that in a very long time. And there was nothing going on in my external reality that triggered that thought. I don't really understand what's going on. It's because not all of your thoughts are your own. So I say all of that to say, you kind of get to a point in your life, you have a sense of safety and security, you have a whole bunch of positive momentum going on, you become unfuckwittable because nobody outside of you can impact your stream. It's not possible. You can influence people, but even when you influence people, it's still a choice that they make. Mean Girls, Gretchen, she influenced people. She didn't go into people's lockers and start cutting holes in their bra area of their shirts. She didn't. She just showed up. She was her. And other people were influenced. They made a choice. They made a choice to show up and change themselves, whatever. So we say all of this to say that I understand that I can't influence other people, right? I understand that I can inspire other people, but when I say I can't influence other people, I mean I can't force it. So all of the people in the world who are suffering and who aren't allowing themselves to receive love, who aren't allowing themselves to receive money, there's no amount of me being poor that's going to put more money in somebody else's pockets. That's something that Abraham Hicks would say. There's no amount of suffering that you can do that's going to ease the suffering of somebody else, because that's just not how life works. You can't take over somebody else's autonomy and somebody else's choice, because we are choosing our lives regardless of how shitty our lives are, regardless of all of the terrible bad things. You have to take some sort of responsibility for your life. Responsibility is different than blame. Responsibility is different than shame. Responsibility and accountability are words that I'm not particularly fond of because of the emotional connotations that they have within a society that's emotionally immature. Do you understand what I'm saying? But honestly, taking responsibility for your life is recognizing that there's nobody outside of me who has the capacity to change what's going on within me except for me. Everybody's choosing what happens to them in their life, even if it's subconscious, meaning they don't know that they're choosing it, even if all of these other things. Because even if I'm subconsciously creating my reality, a whole bunch of shit is going on, and my reality, my emotions and my physical reality are always communicating to me. My emotions and my physical reality are always communicating to me what I'm manifesting and what I'm a vibrational match for. That's a slippery slope. I'll stop talking now. So, my point is that I recognize that I can't control how other people feel. But I still feel bad. I still feel bad, and I feel guilty. Why? Because there is this very interesting belief thought train, we'll say, when we're having conversations about white supremacy, we're having conversations about racism. My favorite phrase to have this discussion with you all would be a proximity to whiteness. And this belief that people, depending on their proximity to whiteness, will experience a better or a worse feeling life. I don't know if you guys have ever seen my face before. I don't have the darkest complexion. This has posed a very interesting blockage for me. Why? Because I don't want people to discredit my success. I don't want people to discredit my success. But even within that, there's some limiting beliefs about the idea that I struggle to get successful and that means something about me. There's a little bit of this like triggering that I have when people talk about like, oh, you had an easy life, you have it easy. And the only reason why that's triggering to you is because a value that you have is that you value struggling to prove that you're worthy of love. And so if you value struggling to prove that you are worthy of love, then somebody else telling you that you didn't struggle enough makes you feel unworthy of love. The biggest insult that somebody can give me as a Black woman up until this point has been to tell me that my life is easy. Number one, it's a really big insult because I've gone through a lot of things in my life and I don't walk into every single room that I enter going, do you motherfuckers know how traumatized I have been? You know what I mean? Like, I just don't do that. So I do find it to be very disrespectful, and I do find it to be a bit of an act of gaslight because you don't know my life and you don't know my experience and you only know the things about me that I've shared and all of these other things. So it hurts my feelings. It hurts my feelings when people, I want to say infer, but basically straight up fucking tell me, like, you've had such an easy life. You're so bougie. Why would you say that? Why would you say that? Because there's nothing about me really up until this point that has screamed bougie. What about me has screamed that? You get a couple designer bags, all of a sudden that means something about you. You get a house with a pool, all of a sudden that means something about you. But to be honest, it does. Because in my childhood, having a house with a pool would be a really, really big deal. So if I saw myself as a kid living this life now, I would think, oh my God, you're living the dream. Okay, so you're right. But my point is that how we view others and different things like that is, of course, going to be warped by our own lens, meaning our own experience. What is my point? Back to the main point. Okay. When you value struggle as something that means something about you, when I have a conversation with the Black community, this could really be any marginalized community, to be honest, but we're going to focus on the Black community because I'm going to talk about what I know. When you have a history of struggle and trauma and pain, you can become over-identified with struggle and trauma and pain. And it is a little bit hard. It is a little bit difficult, almost impossible, to separate struggle and pain from progress, joy, and achievement, because struggling and pain is survival. Black people for the past several hundred years, at least, have been struggling for survival. So there's a difference between living your life in survival mode and living your life when you feel safe and when you feel secure. When you're living life in survival mode, when you're living life constantly being re-traumatized, you're living life constantly being triggered, you're living life constantly under stress. These circumstances have a huge toll on your brain function. Meaning these circumstances have a huge toll on your capacity to show up and enjoy life and make, I don't want to say make better choices, like Black people as a whole have made bad choices. That's not what I mean. But it impacts your brain function, period. And anybody whose brain function has been impacted is not able to show up in the world as a fully functioning adult. Period, point blank. That was a blanket statement. We're just going to leave it at that. So my point in all of this is that there is this belief and this idea that, like, we value success stories that talk about struggle. And I'm saying we, meaning a very specific reality of us. We value success stories that talk about struggle because we identify with the struggle. So if I wanted to be inspired to get out of a position of struggle and survival into a position of ease, into a position of success, because we don't think that success is struggling. We think that success is getting to a place of no struggle or less struggle, significantly less struggle. So it's very interesting how things kind of clash in that way. But anyway, if we're people who are struggling and we want to be inspired to step into our own empowerment in our lives, and we want to be in a position of success, then the stories that we're going to listen to, the people that we're going to attract, are the people who have struggled in the ways that we have struggled, or in ways that we can identify with. And we are going to use their stories kind of as an excuse to tap into our inner being, or we would say as a source of inspiration. It's basically the same thing. So what this means is that all of the people whose success stories you don't align with, all of the people who got successful without struggling forever and ever and ever, because you don't identify with that story, you tend to reject them completely, discredit them. And why do we do that? That's a really good question. No, because it's one thing. Oh, that's so interesting. Okay, so you guys know how, as a society, as a collective, as a family, as a group of people, whatever, we have a certain value. We have things that we consider to be good quality traits. And in order to have something that you view as good and worthy of love and worthy of praise, you have to have an opposite. You have to have an opposite, something that you consider to be bad, shame, etc., etc. So if your value as a society is struggling, if your value as a society is work hard, now we're talking about hyper-masculine ways of living. Work hard, grind, hustle, don't care about your emotions, don't care about how you feel, fight through, persevere through. God damn, doesn't it sound like I'm describing slavery right now? Isn't that crazy? How the same stories can be cycled out just in your blood, in your DNA. This hyper-masculine way of thinking and living and believing. Wild. Because when you think about it, any time that we are dehumanizing someone, like we have, I'm talking about historically, dehumanized Black people. To dehumanize means not to experience an emotional attachment to, means not to be able to identify with that thing. You know what I mean? So it's like, if I don't see something as human, how can I explain this? Okay, so, okay, vegans, PETA. Everybody knows the kind of like vegan PETA meme. PETA is an organization that, based off of what we see publicly for them, they try to humanize animals. What does that mean? They recently did some sort of campaign, and it was like selling human leather goods. And it just basically looked like a whole bunch of accessories that look like the book from Hocus Pocus. You know what I'm saying? Where it's like human leather, and they're like, see, isn't this so bad? You would hate if it was you. When we're trying to humanize someone, we're trying to empathize with that person. We're trying to identify with that person. We're actually trying to love that person, right? Because if to love someone is to take that person as a part of yourself, and if you're taking that person as a part of yourself, then you're taking their needs as a part of your own needs. And you don't want to hurt them. You want to help them. You want to take care of them, because if they were hurt, then you would be hurt. So now it's in your best interest to take care of this whole other person. Oh my God, we will have a whole other discussion. Something about relationships is coming up right now, and we're going to have that juicy discussion later. So my point is that Where was I? I went on a tangent about love in my mind. So we're humanizing. Okay. Humanizing, empathizing, trying to get an emotional understanding. One of the things that I realized most recently, this is a little bit of a tangent, but you'll understand why it wraps into everything that we're saying. One of the things that I realized recently was like, like guys, those like, what is it? Like trying to humanize women, on the internet in terms of feminism, whatever. There's like this kind of like thing of like, that's somebody's daughter, or that's someone's sister, that's someone's cousin, that's someone's grandma. And then there's kind of like this pushback moment from some people, some women who are like, it shouldn't matter that I have some proximity to a man for me to matter and my emotions to matter and my experience to matter. What I realized is that in those instances, it's not that they're saying you only matter because you have proximity to a man, but if you're trying to communicate with somebody who doesn't care about anybody other than themselves, it's not about something to be ashamed about or something to be upset with. It's about having an egocentric point of view, which a majority of people do, because a majority of people are emotionally immature, and this is just a natural consequence of where we are as a society and a world and all of these other beautiful things. So basically, if I don't care about women because I'm not a woman, and I want to begin caring more about women in general, well, if I have a woman in my life that I do care about, then I can see other women in my life and I can empathize and develop a sort of care for those women based in this understanding that, wait a second, I care about this human being in this way, and somebody else probably cares about you in this way. It's kind of like, do you understand what I'm saying? Being able to see someone and be like, oh my God, like, I can't describe it because I want to take care of everybody. So it's a little bit difficult for me, but you understand what I'm saying? Okay. That's a really good point. So when we're talking about dehumanizing Black people and this idea that being more light-skinned gives you a proximity to whiteness, the reason why more light-skinned Black people were treated in a little bit of a better way, or even a lot of a better way, is because it's difficult to hurt someone who you identify with. And so if I look at you and you show up looking like a mirror of me, well then, of course I don't want to hurt you. It's much easier to push against and to reject and to ostracize something that I can't identify with at all. So right now, we've circled back kind of to the beginning of our conversation, which is about proximity to wealth, or wanting more wealth, wanting more money, and a proximity to white people, a proximity to whiteness. Underneath this is the belief that white people are the best. And why are white people the best? White people, the belief, why do we believe that white people are the best? We believe that white people are the best because white people have the money. And because white people have the money, white people have the power. So now we're just recognizing this glaringly obvious, which I never thought of before, connection between white people, money, better or more worthiness, and Black people poverty and unworthiness or powerlessness, and white people's would be empowerment. So if the reason that I am suffering in life is because I'm disempowered, and I have the perception that the reason that I'm disempowered in life is because of my skin color, because I have the perception that because of my skin color, I'm not worthy and deserving of empathy and love and care. And I have the belief that if I'm not worthy of empathy, love, and care, I'm not worthy of being taken care of, I'm definitely not going to be allowing myself to receive money. So basically what I'm saying here is that I realized that I had this thought that the reason why I was powerless was because I didn't have money. And I was like, why am I giving my power away to money? But the reason I'm giving my power away to money is the reason why I'm giving my power away, or I've given my power away to whiteness. Does that make sense? Did what I just say make sense? Okay, I have to explain more. So I was in the toilet. All my best ideas come to me when I'm in the bathroom, I swear. Sitting in the toilet, I was leaving the bathroom, and I was thinking about my experience and how I'm somebody who usually gets what she wants. And meaning I always get what I want. If it's a heart's desire thing, if it's something that I want, if I go after that thing, then I'm going to get that thing. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. If it's a heart's desire, it's going to be mine. So growing up, I got a car maybe a little bit after I turned 16. Maybe when I was 17. I don't really remember. But I got a car. And I got a car because I wanted a car and I expected myself to have a car. The people that I grew up with in terms of location, socioeconomics, we would not expect to have a car when we turned 16 years old. But the people that I went to school with who lived in a different city than I did, they were the people who, so I'm turning 16, I'm going to get a car. Literally my freshman year of high school, when I was still going to school with the people that I had grown up with, basically, it was talks of like, okay, so we're going to be turning 15 and a half soon. I remember my friend, she was like a week younger than me. Her birthday is like March 21st. So she was like, okay, it's about that time. We're going to be turning 15 and a half. When we turn 15 and a half, we can get our driver's permit or we can start going to driving school. When we turn 16, we can get a car, all of this stuff. So it's kind of like the momentum had already been there. I had already wanted that American Girl Sweet 16 experience. You know what I mean? Not the party, but just getting the car. So I had already had that momentum built up, and now my friends were talking about it, and you kind of do. One of the things Amanda Frances says, which I think is a really powerful way to describe this, is basically like, if you hang out with people who believe that anything is possible, you're going to believe that anything is possible. So it's one of those, you are the company that you keep things energetically. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you're hanging out with people who assume that they're going to get cars when they're 16 years old. I also assume that I'm going to get a car when I'm 16 years old. Now, I didn't assume that I was going to get a brand new car and all of those things like they did. Honestly, probably because I didn't feel worthy of it. So I ended up getting a car because I had that momentum built. Even though we had moved to a different place, I still was like, okay, have to go to driving school. Okay, have to get a car, all of these things. Now, this belief system of people outside of me, specific people that we don't really have to get into, specifically an adult, people outside of me have this perception of like, I think, I don't know what goes on in people's minds or what went on in their mind, but there was just kind of like this idea of like, Nathallie asked for something. And then she has a parent who says, I'm going to give you whatever you asked for. I don't know what the fuck they're thinking. So basically, there is this belief, or there's been this problem with me of like, why do you have problems with your mom? Why do you have problems with authority and all of this stuff? Maybe because I was emotionally neglected. But you have all of this cool stuff. So I got a car when I was 16 years old. And it was the same car as my high school drama teacher. It's not my fault. She chose her job and her salary and her lifestyle. Thank you. And my car was just, it was a used car. It was like a 2012 white Kia Soul, super duper cute, just an adorable, nice first car for any gal to have. So that's the car that I got. And it just was what it was. But there was like this really huge thing with my drama teacher because I don't know what was going on with me subconsciously, but just basically like this story of like, Nathalie's so ungrateful for everything she has. So that was definitely something that was coming up with the whole subconscious jealousy thing, right? Because that's what we're working through right now. So basically, I'm tired of telling this story already. Jesus Christ. So basically, where the fuck am I even in this story? Okay. I got the car that I wanted when I was 16 years old. I got the shit that I wanted, but I didn't get the shit that I wanted because my parents are so rich, or I'm a spoiled brat or something like that. I got everything that I wanted because I'm a powerful manifester. Honestly, like, I look back at, like, all of the shit that she got, and I'm like, how the fuck did you do this? Like, literally, we have been telling ourselves the story of, like, financial struggle and strife and, like, all of this stuff for years and years and years, and things just so happen to align. Like, no, honey, that was my inner being. Like, yeah, it was Pam's money, but that was my inner being at work. You know what I mean? I put in so much more work than a lot of other people did. And even me telling this story is me trying to justify why I allowed myself to receive what I received. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter if I had to work my ass off to afford the money to buy my first car, or if I walked outside of my house on the day of my 16th birthday and there was a fucking car out there. It does not matter, because the amount of effort and work that it takes to get something doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't mean anything about me. Struggling doesn't mean anything about me. Let's take it back to what we value as a society. As a society who values hard work, we're a society that values struggle. We're a society that values struggle and hard work because we're a society that values productivity. If we're a society that values productivity above all else, we're not a society who gives a fuck about emotions. We're not a society that gives a fuck about how people feel. Amazon is a beautiful, beautiful company that mirrors back the collective values. Period, point blank. Big corporations and this kind of war that we are waging, I don't know, against them is literally a reflection of our values. It's very interesting, astrologically speaking. Another side note, tangent, with Uranus and Taurus, is probably with Uranus and Taurus and Saturn and Aquarius, I feel like we're going to be seeing a lot of changes and shifts in the way that we do companies, especially the way that we pay people, the way that we treat people, because our values are shifting in a more feminine way. Thank you, God. Because living life in a hyper masculine way where all you do is give a fuck about productivity, where all you do is give a fuck about the end result, and you don't give a fuck about how you feel as you move towards that end result, the shit that you do not going to feel very good. The end product isn't going to feel very good. It's not going to be very good if it doesn't feel very good. And you're just not going to have a good feeling life. And I think that that's what people are recognizing right now, is that they're just not having good feeling lives. They're just not having good feeling lives. Whether you don't have money or whether you have a lot of money, if you are working incredibly hard and you do not give a fuck about how you feel emotionally, physically, psychologically, or spiritually, you're not having a good feeling life. You don't have balance in your life without feminine energy, without feelings and emotions. What the fuck does this have to do with what we just started talking about? Okay. Bringing it back to our main point. My main point as I started this was that the association between white people, wealth, and power has to be dismantled in your mind. The association between white people, wealth, and power needs to be disintegrated in your mind. Because having the best of the best, that's what it is. So when we have the best of the best, I want the best of the best. And I'm afraid that if I allow myself to receive the best of the best, then people aren't going to like me because they're going to think that I'm better than them. Where do we get this idea that the best of the best means that you're better than other people? Well, if I want the best of the best, then that costs more money. If I want the best of the best and that costs more money, there is an association between having more money, getting better things, being a better person, and that's still connected to whiteness. It's connected to whiteness because historically, if you're not somebody who has had the best of the best, if you're not somebody who has been rich, then you are probably most definitely somebody who is not white. I'm not saying that all white people have the best of the best, but again, this is just what we're talking about, right? So it's this association. It's kind of like the back of the bus thing. It's a back of the bus thing. It's a not being allowed to go into restaurants through the front entrance thing. It's not being able to live in houses thing. It's not being able to have a solid family unit thing. It's a racism thing. It is. It's a natural consequence of being dehumanized. It's a natural consequence of being made to feel unworthy of love, because that's what it means. When you are dehumanized, you're made to feel unworthy of love. One of the ways that we kind of push people away from us and we reject people is when we make them the complete opposite of what we think we are. So if we consider ourselves to be rational and level-headed, then the way that we would ostracize and push someone else away, if we don't understand them, we don't understand their journey, we don't understand their experience, we're going to push them away by labeling them as delusional and completely out of touch with reality. We push away the things that we don't identify with. I want to be someone that people identify with. But the people that I'm wanting to identify with are the people who identify with the struggle. And that doesn't work for me. And so it's about recognizing, okay, this is communicating to me that I want more people who I can identify with. I want more people living an easy life. I want to connect with more people who don't identify with one another through the struggle. I want to connect with more people who wake up and go, oh my goodness, it's Monday. It's the start of a new week. It's December 1st. It's the start of a new month. It's January. It's the start of a new year. It is, insert whatever time it is. It's now the start of a whole new minute. And now it's the start of a whole new second. And that was the start of a whole new millisecond. And every single millisecond, every single point of time ever in life is a new opportunity for us to do something new, change our life. I don't fucking know. I don't know how they live. I'm just kidding. It's the way that I live. It's hopeful and it's optimistic. I'm going to spend more time with people who are hopeful and people who are optimistic, and people who are hopeful and optimistic are people who have easy lives. They're people who have lives that feel better. They're people who don't value the struggle. Can I really allow myself to have it easier? That means I don't value the struggle. Next thing. If I allow myself to have it easier, I'll feel guilty because the belief that the reason why I have things easier is because of my skin tone. Is that true? No, it is not true. That's literally all we have to say. No, it is not true. Because there's nobody in life who's giving me a raise. I'm the only person here. I'm the only person controlling the cash flow. And the reason I'm giving myself money is because of who I am as a soul. So, it's just not fucking true. Now, can't control somebody else's dream. I can't control what somebody else perceives. But now what they perceive doesn't matter because I no longer value struggle. And so this is what we mean when we say that it's an internal issue, because it's never about the other people. It's about me. It's never about the fact that other people are going to be upset with me. It's the fact that I'm going to be upset with me because I side with other people over me. So when I want to do the work to stop sacrificing myself, ostracizing myself, pushing against myself, when I want to do the work of loving myself, it's about connecting with the parts of me that identify with the people who would show up opposed to me having what it is that I want. Why is it a good thing for me not to have money? It's a good thing for me not to have money if I am surrounded by people who struggle is a part of their identity, and not struggling would put me in danger. And you really do have to talk about things in that way, because if we're talking about love and connection, and we're talking about relationships, and we're talking about something as quote unquote trivial as somebody liking you, that is a big deal. That is a big deal, because getting love and connection is the most basic need that you have. If you're not being nurtured, you're being fucking tortured. You know what I'm saying? So, did I already finish my point? I think I did. Let's sum it up, because I got a little bit messy in the middle. Number one, the biggest takeaway that we've gotten from this is that I no longer have to value struggle and hard work. I no longer have to value struggle and hard work. Do you know what I value? I value tenacity. I value, do I value tenacity? I value, how do I explain this? No, I don't not value tenacity. I don't think that I really like using the word tenacity, because to me, and this is just emotional connotation with the word, tenacity means struggle. So if I value tenacity, then I would still be valuing struggle. I don't value tenacity. I don't value hard work. I don't value struggle. I value ease. I value ease because I value peace. And I don't think that it takes hard work to get to anywhere that you want to go, because hard and difficult is struggle. Now, I value challenge. I don't think that challenge is hard and difficult. I value ease. Ease doesn't mean quick overnight results. Ease means without difficulty, without struggle. So if I wanted something to come more easily to me, that means I put out the question, inner being, why would it serve me not to receive money? And then I don't do any research. I don't look things up on Google. I don't whatever. I don't spend hours racking my brain trying to find that answer. I just put it out there, I let it go. And then within the next couple of days or weeks or whatever, however long it takes, because it always comes to me at the perfect time, then I get my answer. That's ease. I don't struggle to understand myself. I don't struggle to understand the universe. I value ease. I value ease. Because the struggle doesn't mean anything about me. The reason why people value struggle is because they think that struggle means I'm a good person. Why would struggle mean I'm a good person? Why do good people struggle? That doesn't make sense to me. We talked about this a while back, questioning your beliefs. Why would good people struggle? Okay. I think that's it. We no longer value struggle. I'm valuing ease more and more because I'm valuing peace of mind, because I'm valuing enjoying my life. I'm valuing enjoying my life, and I'm valuing having a good time. I don't necessarily value challenge, but I'm okay with challenge because sometimes challenge is fun. In my work and in my job, no, I don't value challenge in that way. It's kind of hard to think about all of the ways that I value challenge. Okay. I value challenge in like sewing, making my own clothes, figuring out how to do something after I've watched a video, how to put things together, how to take them apart and put them back together, how to set up something new. That is a challenge that I enjoy, because to go from not understanding something to understanding something, I feel triumphant. It feels good to overcome things. But triumph and overcoming isn't a huge value of mine. It's something I like experiencing, but it's something I like experiencing. I kind of want to say in small doses. I like experiencing triumph and overcoming and things that I love and am passionate about, but my desires to experience a feeling of triumph and overcoming do not relate to my survival whatsoever. I don't want to struggle to survive. I don't want survival to be a challenge because that's not fun to me. So I think that challenge is a more fun, enjoyable experience when I feel safe, when I feel secure. Then I can have a good time experiencing a challenge. Do you see? Okay. That's really it. White does not need to be associated with the most powerful, and it does not need to be associated with wealth. Because when you put white, power, and wealth together and you identify as being Black, poor, and subsequently powerless because it's a package deal, well, now you've just fucked yourself. So, I'm no longer associating whiteness with wealth or with power. If you need a new belief, I believe that every single person is powerful because every single person in existence is a fragment of source energy. So every single person in existence is creating their own reality. Boom, that's powerful. That's enough. And if every single person in existence is powerful enough to create their own reality, then every single person in existence is powerful enough to create a reality wherein they are successful and thriving within their own definition. Every single person in existence has the capacity to create a reality wherein they are wealthy. Wealth is not limited to whiteness. Wealth is not limited to having a proximity to whiteness. It's a mindset thing. It really is. That's it. What else? You might want to do some more journaling about this. I'm not talking to me, I'm talking to you who is listening to this. You might want to do some more journaling about this, working through your beliefs about that. Ah, yes. Very, very good. That was a really, really good shift. So good. I couldn't see myself as a wealthy person because I was seeing a wealthy person as being white. Crazy. That's really, really good. And I value ease. I value things coming to me easily because the struggle doesn't mean anything about me. And if the struggle doesn't make me a good person, suddenly the struggle is arbitrary, the word? Struggle is futile. It's a waste of time. It doesn't serve me. Oh, that feels so good. My left arm is tingling. Now I'm done. All right. Hope that I almost dropped my phone. I hope that this helped you. Comment if it did. Talk to me. Tell me if it did. Please. Tell me that you value this because I like having validation too. Okay. Love you. Bye.